Hello, and this is Notary Life with Kimmi. Well, hey guys, today we are talking about things that signing agents should never do, okay? Things that loan signing agents should never do. Let's get right into it, okay? So the first one is, do not pre-stamp the notary block or fill it out prior to being in front of the client. So you may get the package and you say, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and save some time at the table. I'm gonna start filling everything out, go ahead and pre-stamp it, and when I get there, all the client has to do is sign and I go. No, you do not want to do that. Why? One reason is because if you pre-stamp and pre-fill the county or the venue of the signing where it's happening and you're in the wrong venue, like for example, here in Georgia, if you cross the street, sometimes you're in a different county. That can happen in any state. So you cross the street, and right now I'm in Gwinnett County, but if I cross over, I'm in Rockdale. When the loan signing company gets that package back, sometimes when they're proofing things for errors and trying to make sure everything lines up, they can tell that, wait a minute, was the notary actually there? Did she do something funny? So you want to make sure everything lines up. So a lot of times, I always ask, not even a lot of times, I always ask the client, hey, what county are we in? Sometimes they may know, sometimes they may not know. So you may have to even Google it. So don't assume because you think the signing is in what ABC county, that's actually where it's at. So that's one reason you never want to pre-stamp. 2, the signer should see you stamp and sign. That's the official signing of the document. Once they sign it, you sign and stamp, that's what makes it official, all of you together in agreement. So do not pre-stamp thinking you're saving time, okay? This kind of goes with the next one too. So you don't want to skip filling out the document in front of the person. You take the package to the client and let them do all of their signing, and then you say, I'll take it back home and do the stamping. So the difference is one of them you try to stamp before you get there, the other one you had a client sign and then you stamp when you get home. That is equally bad. The signing needs to take place in front of the client. So if it takes you 10 more minutes for you to sign and stamp in front of them, that is the bottom line. It should be done in front of the client, okay? Number 3, we have a witness on Zoom and the witness is not in the same room with the signer. That is a no-no. If the document has to be signed, unless you're doing RON and remote online notary is a whole nother topic, so I'm not even getting into that. But I'm talking about if you're physically supposed to be in a room with the signer and you Zoom your witness in to say that they saw that signing happening, that is not good. That's not how that's supposed to go. You, the witness, and the signer all need to be in the same space. So for you to take the document, even home later and say, well, okay, so the signer signed it now, you know the witness, and you get the witness to say that they saw the signing. That's a no-go. Because if anything ever happens and that signer said, well, Jimmy wasn't in the room with us, I don't even know who that witness is. No one was at the signing but myself and the notary. So you always want to make sure that the transaction goes properly and is executed correctly. Because again, if the client says, well, I wasn't in the room with Johnny when that was signed, I don't even know who that is, they could actually say that document is invalid. And quite frankly, it is invalid because you, the signer, and the witness all need to be in the same room, because I've heard that before. Well, I'll just Zoom somebody in, or I'll let my husband sign it when I get home. If your husband is with you at the signing, that's fine. But you're not going to take the documents and let him sign it when you get home. That's a no-no. Also, to tell the client that's not my job to explain certain things. Even if it's not our job to explain certain things, we're never going to tell the client that. You're not going to say, well, that's not my job to tell you when such and such or how such and such, because we always say we could tell them the what and the when, right? So we're not going to tell the client that, though. We're going to be more professional. What does that look like? Oh, Mr. Smith, that's a question that I cannot answer, but I can definitely get your lender on the line, or I can get the signing company on the line, something like that. But for you to say as a notary, that's not my job, no, that is so unprofessional. So it's true, there are many things that we are not allowed to say, but we just don't want to we don't want to say that to the client. That's the point. You don't want to say that to them. You want to make it as professional as you can, letting them know that you're not going to answer that question, but it's the way we tell them, okay? Because we always want to be the professional in the room also. We are not going to take someone that's unauthorized to be at that appointment. What do I mean? A lot of times people say, well, can I shadow you? Can I be your mentee and go with you on an assignment or a job? That's a no, people. Don't charge no other notary taking her on your assignment or him on your assignment with you. On the back end, you pay me $50 and I'll let you go with me to watch this. No, because they do surveys and they will ask, well, who all was there? And if that person was not authorized to be at that signing, that is a no. Now, a way to get around that is if you have a signing where a witness is required and someone wants to go with you, you can let them come shadow you that way. That's a good way to do it. So, for example, I receive a signing from ABC Company, a witness is required. Susie Q Notary wants to know how to notarize. So I can say, hey, Susie, I got a signing tonight. Would you like to come and be my witness? Yes, that's acceptable. But just to willy-nilly say I'm going to take somebody to come and observe me or watch me while I'm out there doing signings, that's a no. For security reasons, you don't want all the signer's information shared with this other person. You don't know this other person, even if they NNA certified or whatever. That's just not good business. If they're not supposed to be there, they're not supposed to be there. That includes your family members. Now, if you ask for permission, perhaps you have a small youngster with you or something, there's always extenuating circumstances. So I'm not saying you can never take anyone on a signing with you. I'm not saying that, because I've taken my mom, as you all know, before I lost her, on assignments with me. As she serves as a witness sometimes, or she might just be riding with me, and they'll say, well, bring your mom in, don't leave her in the car, or something like that. But on the norm, we are not just taking people to signings who are not authorized to be there, okay? Another one is you take an assignment and then you give it to another notary to complete it. Well, I took the assignment knowing I couldn't do it, or whatever happened, you had an emergency, and y'all say, well, you know what, I think I'll let Angela do that assignment for me. That's a no-go. If it was assigned to me, I need to let the signing company know that I will not be able to complete it. And if Angela is part of that signing company, then I can say, hey, is it okay if you reassign this to Angela for me, for example? And I've had that happen before, actually, several times. I've had to get it reassigned, but my fellow notaries that I'm having to reassign to are also part of that signing company. So but for me just to say, you go and handle this for me, no, because a lot of times, again, for quality assurance, the signing companies are double checking things. So what would they check in that case? They're checking to see, well, Kimberly was the assigned notary, who signed and stamped it. And I have actually received instructions telling me that, because the signing companies are hip to everything, guys. Don't think they don't know what's going on out here. They know everything. I have received instructions from a signing company, and it specifically said your name and notary stamp must be on the document. This is invalid if it's anybody else's name. So clearly someone's been doing that. So if you accept the assignment, you must do the assignment unless you get it cleared from the company, and what their normal process is, again, to reassign it to the other notary. Okay. Next thing we are not doing, you never leave the documents with the signer if the signing did not happen. I repeat, for some reason you get to document ABC and the client says, nope, that's it, I'm not doing it. That document, the whole package, returns back to you. You are not to leave the client a copy of that document unless it has been stated by the signing company for some odd reason. But normally if a signing doesn't happen, they want everything back. So of course I got an example for you. I did that when I was a little newer. I actually left the package with the person that did not sign. So the attorney called me and they said, hey, you got the package, right? I said, no, I left it with the client. And they were like, you did what? I said, yeah, I left it with the client. They said, we need to get the package back. So I had to call the client. He, of course, left the signing location. So I had to go out my way to go meet him at another location to get the package back. So note to self, never leave the package with the client unless instructed by the signing company. Once the signing does not happen, I don't even care if you printed 200 copies for you, 200 sheets for yourself, and you printed 200 that you were supposed to leave with them, you take all 400 back. That is no longer their paper the moment they decline to sign the documents, okay? So don't leave it, take it back. Next, never try to collect the fee for the assignment from the client, okay? So example, ABC Signings hired me. The fee was supposed to be $100, whatever, okay? And for some reason, I go to the client and ask Mr. Smith, you need to pay me that $100. Unless there was some other weird arrangement that happened or some kind of fluke thing, your money will always come from the signing company or whoever hired you. You are never to ask the client, even if they took past the net 30 or net 45 to pay you, which I have a whole video on payment. if you're unfamiliar with these terms, but normally signing companies will pay you 30 to 45 days, even longer sometimes, to pay you, right? So because it took 30 or 45 days, at this point, you are not to go back to the client and say, hey, ABC Signing never paid me, so now you need to pay me because I came and did your documents. That is a no-no, okay? What happens in that case, because I had it happen to Alexis, and she has shared this on one of the Monday Night Lives that we do. She actually did not get paid for an assignment. And she reached out to everybody that she could, every contact that she could and that she had in her documents. No one responded, right? So that may happen occasionally where they do not pay you. It's very, very, very rare. I've never had it happen to me, but I have heard it happen to other notaries. So in that case, though, what does that look like? So you're going to have to probably end up writing that off on your taxes as some kind of business loss. But you are not to go back to the client and say, hey, you need to pay me because the signing company did not, okay? Even though it's on their closing disclosure and all that. No, that's unprofessional. That is so unprofessional. So you are not to ask the client to pay you. Unless it was general notary work and you agreed upon something like that. But again, you would just have to probably end up taking that as a loss on your business, okay? And then the last thing we're going to talk about today, guys, is we are not changing the signing location to fit our needs. So I'm supposed to go to the signer's house, but I realized, you know what, dog, I got to get my kids from school. Can they meet me over here at Burger King? No, we are not calling the client to change to meet our needs. Now, if the client needs to change to meet their needs and you can accommodate, that's fine. But we are not calling the client and say, hey, I got to run an errand over here at the bank. I was wondering, could you come up here and meet me? No. Once the location is set and you agree to it, unless the signer or the signing company changes it, as the notary, we cannot change it, okay? If for some reason you cannot make it to the assignment, at that point, then you're going to reassign it by calling the company and say, hey, my plans have changed. I can no longer accommodate for whatever reason. But to call the client and inconvenience them, be it even for the time, well, it's supposed to be scheduled at 1, when you realize, dang, I got a doctor's appointment. I can't get there till 4. That might be okay sometimes. I mean, very rare, because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Does the loan need to close today? Do the documents need to get to the next place by tomorrow? So in the norm, don't get in the habit of changing day and time either, okay? If you accepted it at 1 p.m., it's supposed to be for 1 p.m. on Friday. But again, we are not just out there willy-nilly taking control of the signing in the sense that we're going to tell them when, where, and how. Because that's not, we were contracted to do it based on the instructions that we received from the signing company, right? So these are just a few tips that will help you to be the professional out there, guys. I mean, some of these might sound a little far-fetched, but it's actually happening. So if I know about it, it's happening. It might end up in a video. So this is Notary Life with Kimmi, guys. Until next time.